Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're being fully briefed on what's going on over here in Israel. How real is the threat of a regional war breaking out right now?
Thanks, Wolf. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being in Tel Aviv. No, the threat is real, obviously. That's why you see the entire apparatus of the United States government, State Department, DOD working overtime with our allies in the regions, why it's good to have friends. It's why Joe Biden has focused so much on that to try to prevent a regional war. This, of course, is because Iran and Hezbollah are threatening a disproportionate response. Israel, the last couple of weeks, obviously, has been taking out the people responsible for October 7th. Not mass strikes in Lebanon or in Iran, but that's now what Iran and Hezbollah are threatening Israel, major strikes on the civilian population. And so hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully this can be contained. But yes, in the event, I agree with the Israelis, in the event that Hezbollah or Iran strikes the Israeli population, Israel should respond disproportionately.
What is the U.S. prepared to do, Congressman, if Hezbollah launches a full-scale air assault on Israel with all the rockets and missiles and drones and projectiles that they've accumulated in recent years?
Well, listen, I think the Biden-Harris administration should communicate that all options are on the table, but that's a decision, obviously, for the president to decide, what they're willing to do. I think at a minimum, we'll see exactly what happened last time. Iran launched hundreds of missiles, including ballistic missiles, towards Israel. There was a coalition of countries in the area led by the United States and folks from Europe, making sure that we created basically a shield around the state of Israel. This time, I think, will be slightly different in that if the attack is anything bigger than that, if the attack is targeted more towards the civilian population, towards civilian infrastructure, I do think you will see Israel respond. And that's where we try to make sure that we can contain it from becoming a regional conflict. But how can Israel continue to survive with these threats on their border with Hezbollah and Iran? It's super clear. It should be very clear to everybody that they've been saying this for years. Now they're willing to do it, which is to try to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And so Israel needs to do what it can to maintain its long-term survival in the region.
And as you know, Israeli officials say their response will be, quote, disproportionate if an attack harms Israeli civilians. Are you concerned, though, that their response, the Israeli response, potentially could go too far?
Well, look, we should always be concerned about that. But why is it always on Israel? Here we go again with the same conversation. It's Israel. It's Israel. So Iran and Hezbollah, they get to have a disproportionate response to Israel taking out the leaders, the murderers of October 7th. Individuals, not civilians in the population, not taking out Iranian infrastructure, not taking out, infrastructure in Lebanon. They get to now have a disproportionate response to that. But then we say to the Israelis, you don't get to respond in the same way. And so, look, ultimately, we want to do everything we can to prevent a regional war. But I do think Israel should continue to communicate and needs to do what they can militarily to eliminate these threats on their border. Otherwise, this is just going to continue. We may pause it for a period of time now, and then it will heat up again in a couple of weeks or months. So Israel needs to do what it can to show Iran and Hezbollah that you just don't get to attack Israel for free.
Would you support a preemptive Israeli strike?
You would have to have really actionable intelligence on specific individuals, or you'd have to have actionable intelligence that there was going to be an imminent missile launch from specific military locations. I'll leave that up to the military leaders. The United States is on the ground, obviously, with the Israelis. But otherwise, I think Israel right now is in the defensive position, trying to see what's coming their way.
Yeah, the head of the commander of the U.S. Military Central Command, which oversees the entire Middle East, General Eric Carrillo, has been in Israel over these past several days, coordinating with the Israeli military. We'll see how all of that unfolds.